after you become an actuary, you have a 1 crore package.
So guys, welcome back to channel. Today we have Mr. Sudhir Maheshwari, and he is an actuary. He completed his actuarial science at the age of 23, and definitely we are going to talk a lot of things with Mr. Sudhir. So Sudhir, welcome to channel.
Hi Ravindra, thanks for having me.
So yeah, Sudhir, can you explain something about yourself that at the age of 23 you completed actuary science, and about your journey, something, and what the strategies you got while completion of this actuary science?
Sure, Ravindra. So I started my actuarial science when I was in my first year of college.
Mm-hmm.
That was way back in 2014, and it was the way I started actuarial science was mostly because I was a pretty good student in mathematics and statistics, and these were subjects that really interested me. that They were related to logical reasoning, which I find very challenging, which I find very interesting. So I started with this course. I went through the first couple of papers and I found it really interesting. I found the studying very nice. I found the syllabus material to be damn very good,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I started my journey. And since then, I think it's always been for me. I had a long-term vision on where I want to be in the next 5 years. I had a vision that I want to complete my actual qualification within 5 years. I had mapped out a journey, and once I did that, I think it was mostly focusing on the small-term goals. So I had broken up my long-term vision into certain small-term goals, and that's how I just kept going from one step to the next. And thankfully, I've been able to complete my vision.
Can you just explain us something about what the opportunities for actuarial science?
So traditionally, actuaries have been associated only with the insurance sector in India and around the world. Actually, that's because the primary or the traditional view of what an actuary does was all around the. So to put things into perspective, actuarial science for people who might not know, it relates to the quantification of future risk, future financial risk. So any type of future financial risks that might be unknown. So in the cases of insurance, it relates to people, what is the life expectancy of people, what is the health expectancy of people. In terms of property insurance, what is the likelihood that a certain property might get damaged or might lead into a claim status. So any kind of future financial event that is unknown, applying a kind of quantification to that and knowing what the risk is for that particular financial event in advance. That is on a very broad level what the entire concept of actuarial science is about. And for this very reason, it has been mostly associated with insurance. But in recent times, in the last 3-4 years, the scope of actuaries has extended way beyond insurance science. Now it it relates to, and as you might have figured from the kind of description I gave about actuarial science, it can be applied to any kind of financial industry. So very recently, data scientists, banks, and investment banks have all come up with different requirements that can be fulfilled by actuarial students. And we see application for actuaries in a lot of different areas, and not apart from the traditional insurance area. That broadens the scope of what an actuary can do, what an actuary can apply his knowledge to. And given that the world is moving very quickly towards automation, towards data science and machine learning in all sectors, not just finance. Wherever the application of these sectors become important, actuary has a very definitive role to play there. So even in the traditional insurance business, which is what I am a part of from my work aspects right now, the application of data science, the application of machine learning, and all kinds of automation have become very important, which an actuary is able to support to a very big extent, given the detailed technical statistical background that we come
This is statistical, or this is like any data science or something?
So the background or the core of actuarial studies is statistics, right? The entire concept behind how an actuary determines the probability of a future event happening, or what the financial risks will be relating to that future event is all around the concept of statistics. And data science also effectively plays around the different concept of statistics to kind of make sense of a large volume of data. And somehow these two, the concept of actuarial science and the concept of data science, become very closely linked in their core concepts or in their basic
Mhm.
concepts. And that is how, in terms of the world moving towards a more data heavy or a data driven kind of situation, the role that an actuary plays there becomes of vital importance, because an actuary comes from the same technical understanding and technical background that is the concept of data science. In terms of how data science is used in different industries, actuarial science actuaries become a very important part in kind of applying those concepts in order to bring them down to the level of industries that actually use it. So the very basic concepts of data science become very linked with the concepts of actuarial science. So that is why they have a much wider application now.
Oh, great, 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 great. This is about the work profile of actuaries. What exactly about the packages? Because this is the most interesting part of this. What exactly is the package of these
Hmm.
actuaries?
Yeah, so this reminds me of a story that that almost all of my peers and colleagues have faced. So
Okay.
when we started out in actuarial science, and during my college days, there used to be this belief, or this kind of rumor that after you become an actuary, you have a 1 crore package,
Okay.
right? And this is still a very common
Still,
joke.
you search on Google,
This is still
this
a very
figure will
common joke.
show on that.
Yeah. This will show up in the Google search list,
Yeah.
and this is still a very this is a joke that still goes around in all the actual aspirants as well as actuaries. This is not true. First of all, for everyone who's
Okay.
listening,
So
this is
this
not
is
true.
decoding
This
of
is
this
still
package.
rumor. Yeah, this is the decoding of this package. This
Okay.
1 crore package is not a reality. But I think I've given this some thought as to how this came into play, right? And what I believe is that uh, traditionally, again, if you go back, let's say 10, 20 years, there was actually, even today, actuarial science is a very rare course in terms of
Yeah.
people who know about it or people who actually go for it. It's not very, very widespread. It's totally gaining ground. Since the past couple of years, it's grown exponentially, the number of people who've been interested
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
actuarial science. But it is still not very big, right? So you can imagine the situation 10 years ago. It was not that big either. It was even smaller. And the kind of people who were actuaries 10 years ago, they were people who've been experienced in work for around 10, 12 years, who've been working for a long time, and people were of a much higher age group of people who used to become a qualified actuary. They used to be around 28, 29, or the average age was around or more than 30. So you have to factor in the different aspects of the people who we were analyzing to have a 1 crore salary, right? They were already
Yeah.
experienced professionals working in the industry for around 10 years, and they
And that
qualified as
time
an
they were very
actuary.
less.
So that kind of brought this conception that actuaries have yeah, and then
Yeah.
they were very less. So that brought the conception that an actuary has a 1 crore package. But now, obviously, it is a very wrong conception, or it is a very wrong expectation to have a 1 crore package with a couple of years of experiences because you've qualified, right? A qualification is a very good thing. It's a very big deal. You've kind of reached the pinnacle of your academic achievement in this line of work, but still there is a lot of work experience and a lot of things to be learned before you actually can
Okay.
compare yourself to people 10 years ago who were qualified at 30
Exactly.
years.
So
But
let
in terms
me.
of package, coming back to your original question,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Please.
coming back to your original question on the package, I think in terms of when we compare actuarial science, and let me speak on fresher terms here, people who've just graduated with a couple of papers done. So let's say people who've done with 5 or 6 papers who've just come out of college and are looking for a job in actuarial science. The I would say from my experience, the package that is offered to these people, it is higher than the market average for any fresher who comes out of different courses, or who comes out of any a wide variety of courses that are there in the market right now. It is on the higher end in terms of average, and in terms of numbers, I think the expectation to go with is around 5 to 6 lakh rupees per annum. That is what you should expect in terms of a fresher who is getting just getting out of university and going into just getting out of graduation and going for a job right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, how much time is
Yeah.
required to complete five or six papers?
5 or 6 papers, right? So every session, so actually exams are divided into two parts during the year. So there is the April
Mm-hmm.
session and then there's the September session. And this is common for, and I'm speaking in terms of the Indian Institute and the UK Institute, which are pretty parallel in terms of their exam structures and syllabus. So for either of these two, whatever I'm saying is applicable for both of them. And there's April sessions and there are September sessions. Each session you are allowed to give up to 3 papers, so you can
Okay.
give 3 examinations per paper, but obviously that is like the upper limit, and that is a very unrealistic kind of path to choose 3 papers every time because it gets very hectic. So I say that I would say that to complete 5 or 6 papers, at least the initial 5 to 6 papers, you should give yourself around 2 to 2.5 years at
Two and a
least.
half years.
Given the complexity of the syllabus, even if you have a good background in maths and statistics, it does take time, and I always advise not to compromise on your very basic concepts. So your initial few papers are, the conceptual, the roots on which you will base your entire actual science knowledge. So you don't want to compromise on that. Just you don't want to study just for the exam. You want to get your concepts straight. You want to get your basics clear. So I think 2.5 years is at least 2.5 to 3 years is a minimum expectation in terms of at least clearing 6 papers, the 6 initial papers, and that goes hand in hand with your graduation. So for people who start right when they get into college, I think by the time they finish college, they're at a good state to at least get an internship or a job if they want to.
Great. During college, they can just do their actuaries, and after completion of their graduation, they will be able to complete five or six papers. Correct. Can you tell me what exactly is the cost of completion of this course? Like, if any person want to complete five or six papers, so what the cost is paid by him? Yeah.
So, in terms of the cost, it is heavily dependent on the kind of institute or which institute you are going through with your examinations. The Indian Institute is pretty reasonable in its costs. So, I think the cost per examination by the Indian Institute is 5,000, which includes 2,500 to get study material and 2,500 to appear for the examination. In
Mm-hmm.
contrast, the UK Institute is almost 5 times that cost. I think it takes around 25 to 30,000 for an examination in the UK Institute. There are certain advantages of appearing through the Indian Institute, but I think for majority of the Indian students, I don't think people are willing to spend so much money per examination. And the Indian Institute offers a very good alternative in terms of cost as well as in terms of a different route of actual qualification. For the UK Institute, you get better facilities in terms of the kind of material you have access to, and in terms of the examination environment. But yeah, definitely it is a big step up in terms of costs.
Do you have to go for any coaching classes also, or you can just study through study materials of the institute?
Uh, you can. There are a number of coaching classes, and in Delhi, obviously, there are a lot more. I am originally born and brought up in Calcutta. That's where I did my graduation. Uh, but in Calcutta, there are fewer than Delhi in terms of coaching institute, but we still there are still there. In Delhi, there are a lot of them, and I think the entire discussion on whether you should go for a coaching institute or not is dependent on a student's time and how much time he
Mm-hmm.
has in his hands. So when I was in my graduation, when I was in college, I had a ample amount of time in my hands, so I could manage to go to tuitions and take their help while studying for the initial few papers, and I did, and that helped me a lot. That helped me go a long way in terms of understanding the basics. When I started working, obviously the amount of time I had in my hand was cut down drastically, so I did not have time to go for tuitions anymore, and I think that is what happens with most of the students. So you should it is you I would advise you to go to a tuition center and take their help if you do have the time for it. If you can afford it, you should definitely go and take their help, because there's no harm. If anything, they'll help you kind of clear your concepts. If anything, they'll help you they can guide you
Okay.
on how to approach the examinations. But I do understand that there are a lot of people don't have the time for that. And in terms of
Mm-hmm.
examinations, also actually, the initial few papers examinations. So I would say the first 7 or 8 examinations, they are very technical and they are very mathematical in terms of their nature. So there is a lot of contribution that can be done by the coaching institutes. But when you move up, so the last few papers, the last 6 or 7 papers, they are very theoretical, and they are mostly based on experience. So you are expected to have some sort of working experience when you attempt those papers. And I would say that a tuition institute, coaching institute, or a tuition might not be able to help you as much in the higher order papers as much in the lower order papers.
Okay, okay. So only basic papers you can clear with the help of coaching institutes.
Yeah,
Great.
that is correct.
So, approximately cost that you might be aware, because a lot of viewers might be watching this video, and definitely he will be thinking that what exactly the cost of this course. So, if any person want to take a coaching center, want to get the coaching classes, so approximately what the cost he have to bear. Any idea for that?
So I can tell you a rough estimate of what I know from the Calcutta Coaching Institute. I do not have a very good idea of the coaching institutes around the country and other places around the country, but
Exactly.
I think it is equivalent or in line with the cost you actually have to pay for the paper itself. So we know coaching centers have become very expensive for all kind of for all lines of studies. And I think with actuaries it's not very different. I think the last number that I remember for a paper, it was around 15 to 20,000 that coaching centers charge for you to to guide you through a paper.
Okay, okay, great, great. So, like in a very less cost, a person want to get the actually five or six papers he can clear in very less amount of money, spending by very less amount of money. Correct. And definitely 5 or 6 lakh rupees
Mm-hmm.
per annum package is good after completion of graduation. So definitely that is a good package. So anything else you want to share about the course, or any idea, any other idea you want to share which we have not discussed in this video?
Students who are aspiring to be actuaries right now, they should be very well aware of where an actuarial science is able, where an actuary is able to contribute in the real world. So I don't know if you're aware, but very recently Elon Musk has called out, or in an interview he said that he really respects the actuarial science profession a lot in terms of the work we do. And he has recently applied or said that he's looking for revolutionary actuaries to work in Tesla, where they are opening up a new insurance company in Tesla itself. And in fact, I had gone to the website and I have checked it out, and there is an opening in Tesla with the title
Oh,
Revolutionary Actuary. so, yeah, so you can imagine the kind of application or the kind of base that actuarial science has grown from a very, very traditional view of just insurance companies to an application in any sector in finance, uh, because it was a very old fashioned view of actuarials. And earlier, let me tell you, the syllabus of actuaries were also very, very specific to insurance industry. So the specialization papers that were there earlier, they were and that's the last two set of papers that you have, the SPs and the SAs, which is specialist
mhm.
principles and specialist application. Then you have a wide variety of 7 or 8 papers, and you can choose which two papers you want to appear in those. And earlier they were very centric towards the insurance sector itself, but now you see that there are 8 different specialization papers that you can choose from, and 6 different application papers you can choose from, and they range all the way from pensions and insurance, which is the traditional view, to investments, to enterprise risk management, and all of these uh, the fields that have come into view in the new era of actuarial science.
So they have
And
made so much of modifications in the
yeah,
syllabus.
yeah. And this modification, there's been quite some time since this modification. Very recently, there's been a new modification to the syllabus, which has been a very which has been an introduction of coding, and which has been an introduction of the coding languages and how to
Oh,
apply coding to the basic concept in the syllabus. So, like I was telling you, they've reduced the total number of papers from 13 to 15 right now. Along with that reduction, they've also added programming languages like R into the syllabus, where you learn how to apply the basic concept of statistics to a coding platform and to apply it to real life data also. So that's where the entire concept of data analytics come into play, where data analytics is an essential part of actuarial science, essential part of the core understanding of actuarial science. And to all the students out there who are aspiring to be an actuary, I would say that there is a lot of people who aspire to be an actuary because of the money involved or what they read about the 1 crore package, like we talked about. But I think people should really research a little more on where actuarial science is used in the world and try to understand if that is what interests them. And if that is the case and that is what interests them, then I think that research will go a long way in pushing and motivating someone to go through this entire course and complete it. And the current market is very inspiring in terms of actuarial science. With, of course, like I said, when a big company, when a company like Tesla, when a
Exactly,
revolutionary
exactly.
person like Elon Musk himself reaches out and calls out, it's a big inspiration, it's a big motivation to all the aspirants out there in terms of the opportunities that this field can, potentially bring up in a couple of years.
Great, great,
Yeah.
great.
So I think it's very promising in terms of its applications. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sudhir, for coming to the channel and sharing your broad knowledge about the actual science. And we and my team we wish you all the best for your future.
Thank you, Ravindra. Thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.
Bye.